Welcome back to March or Die. I'm the Stress Master.
And I am coming from a very cold and very snowy north of England. I am the Doomer. Because I marched spot B9, not because I was malignant.
There you go. And welcome to, is this the fifth episode?
Fifth, yeah.
Fifth episode of the March or Die podcast.
Feels like a lifetime.
Feels like a lifetime. And we have so much more to talk about in this episode. Sorry if I'm screaming. But we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So this might take a second here. Okay, so everyone, what we're looking at, this is a new drum corps, Lazarus. I saw this on my feed yesterday, and they are actually having camps. And I know there's some other drum corps, and I'm probably missing them, so I apologize, that are up and coming. But this is the one that caught my eye. And I actually looked at their Facebook page, and this has their camp. So they don't have a lot on their Facebook page yet. Let's see what. Oh, here we go. That's the interest form. More information coming soon. So they're really brand new. I mean, I think their first post was October. So this is a really young new drum corps. I know there's also one called the Boise Gems. Mm-hmm. And then Northern Lights, I think I talked about last season. So if you guys know of any other corps, definitely please put it in the comments, because we want to make sure we promote these corps. If people are looking to march in different areas, it'd be really, really good to do that.
I saw recently, in the last week or two, Memphis Blues. Have you seen the pictures coming out of their audition camp? They're huge.
Yeah, Memphis Blues. That's right. Let me see if I can find them real quick.
So I believe that's their sound sport from last year.
Yeah, so look at that. That is a big corps.
Yeah.
Wow. Good for them. I like the uniforms. They're very tall. Like, they have that tall look to them.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah, cool. Love it. I mean, any new drum corps is good drum corps. Let's look at the staff here. Just kind of a Keith. Wait, how do I know? Wait, Sky. That's how I know him.
You know Keith Hall from Skyriders, and that's the other thing as well.
Wow.
The other thing as well is
Band Hall.
DCI has released the tour schedule this year, and there was it's gone somewhat quietly, but there is a show in Hutchinson, Kansas this year. Used to be a corps from Hutchinson. What were they called again? Oh yeah, Skyriders, and I believe they're talking about trying to come back as well.
Yes, I saw that on Reddit. Thank you for bringing that up. I saw that on Reddit. Somebody said that they saw a Skyriders informational table at a band show somewhere.
At Bands of America.
But they have not seen anything since.
So they have registered as a nonprofit. I know that.
Wow.
They have a board of directors.
Michael Gaines. Wow.
Memphis, I'm telling you, man, Memphis isn't messing about. You know, and anybody that's sleeping on sound sport, you're crazy. I mean, you got Memphis Blues, you got Eclipse, you got Conquest, you've got Calgary Stampeders show band, which is headed up by some guy called John Meehan. I mean,
yeah.
You know, the thing is that as an activity, everybody's focusing on what's happening with cadets and what's happening with Southwind, but there's other good stuff actually going on. Yeah, sometimes we have to look a little bit for it, but it's there.
Awesome, man. Like you said, they probably have some money behind them, which is, let's go back to that video. They have some money behind them. Because how do you get a staff like that? I mean, that's pretty crazy, which is great.
Well,
great.
I mean, for those younger viewers that may not know, I mean, the Memphis Blues brass band was a drum corps back in the 80s, in the 70s and 80s.
Yes.
And they were known primarily for doing very crowd-pleasing shows. I'm all for it. The more, the merrier.
Yeah, and I think I did something on the Memphis Blues in one of my news segments. I'll have to see if I can put it into the chat, or the description. Okay, so Santa Clara Vanguard. So you wanted to talk about Santa Clara before we started the podcast here.
Yep.
So this is their tour schedule. They also had some video Why are we not starting? What is this? Oh, hold on. Let's watch this. So this is a video. Looks like it came out on the 22nd from Vanguard. Let's take a look. In this lifetime. Tell me I hope you find some paradise. Okay, that really doesn't tell us much. Okay, well, that didn't really tell us anything at all. It was cool, but it didn't really tell us much.
Cool music,
yeah, cool music. Get ready to be swept away. Oh, that's 2016 Force of Nature. Babylon. Freaking, that show. Such a good show.
That is the definition of a lightning in a bottle show. Happens about once a decade. You get one core with a lightning in the bottle show. 2018 Vanguard was one of them.
2008 Phantom.
2008 Phantom. I don't know. I wouldn't call that a lightning in a bottle show. I mean, when I'd say a lightning in a bottle show where they come out of nowhere. I mean, Vanguard was not. They were what, second or third the year before, something like that. But nobody expected that. You know, They came out in 18 and they were just undeniable from the first show. Now, that being said, if I may, while we're reminiscing about 2018, who headed up their brass show in 2018? Do you know?
I don't know that.
Some fella called Chip Krotz. Where's Chip Krotz today?
That I don't know.
He's the brass captain head of Blue Devils. Anybody notice how much better Blue Devils brass line sounded last year?
Yeah. I didn't even know that. I honestly didn't know that. I wasn't paying attention to that area, but interesting.
Very, very underrated educator, in my opinion. Although people that know the guy or that have learned under him have all said no, absolutely not underrated. But the fact that, this isn't meant as a go at you, Justin, but the fact that you didn't know his name, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And this is from their camp. Cool.
The thing is, look, I've been pretty hard on Vanguard up until now. And I don't apologize about that because, truth be told, I want Vanguard to be there. I want Vanguard to be back, and I want Vanguard to be good.
Yes.
But still, I mean, if it doesn't take a rocket scientist to go onto Reddit or Drum Corps Planet or Drum Corps Coffee Shop or whatever, they're still not compliant from a legal standpoint from the money. And that concerns the hell out of me. It really does.
It does. And, I mean,
I don't want to see a situation where these kids that we're looking at in these pictures that are going all in on this end up getting burned.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to see, right? We're going to see what happens.
I would love nothing more than for us to come out in July or August or September or whatever the first show is now. It seems to be getting pushed back more and more every year.
Yeah.
And I would love nothing more than people to point the finger at me and say, Kanan, you were wrong.
Yeah.
I hope that happens. I really do. But I still stick to what I said in the last podcast. I will believe Vanguard is coming out when I see Vanguard on the field.
That's right. I'm going to switch gears. And I'm going to actually share this video. So it's the 75th anniversary of the Cavaliers. They're putting out a 3-part video. This is three. I can actually count. I put 2. 3. They're going to, 3. They put up the very first video, 1948 to 1973. It's a 10-minute video. Do we want to watch this, or do we just want to put it on the description? Because we also
let's watch a bit of it.
All right, we also got another video to watch too.
This is back in the days when the Freelancers used to beat them.
1948. Yeah. All right, here we go. We're gonna watch it. In the drum corps world, there is only one worldwide nickname: the Green Machine. From North Montana, the Cavaliers.
My first drum corps that I saw was the General George Bell Corps. who met downtown Chicago, sponsored by a VFW post. And I fell in love with it. I just thought it was a terrific thing. I was in the Boy Scouts. And two of my buglers, every time we wanted to do something, they had another parade. So I went down to see what the Sam Hill was going on.
In 1948, 20-year-old Scoutmaster Don Warren and Boy Scout Troop 111 from Chicago's Logan Square neighborhood began a journey that we now celebrate 75 years later. The Corps spent its formative years as a parade corps, while Warren and the other staff focused on sponsorships, finances, and other challenges. First sponsored by Kosciuszko Post 712, the Corps wore hand-me-down uniforms of different designs and colors.
Wow.
Yeah.
About that time, the
That kind of
R.J.
reminds me
Reynolds
of, like,
Tobacco
Magic of
Company
Orlando or something.
had a flashy promotional campaign for its Cavalier cigarettes.
Cavaliers are king size, yet priced no higher than leading regular size brands. Feel that mildness. Taste that flavor. That's a Cavalier.
Interesting.
That name, implying swashbuckling and drama, seemed unnatural to the kids in the Corps, so Cos 712 became the Chicago Cavaliers.
Who knew?
After a summer full of parades,
that looks like
contests,
Madison.
and other appearances in 1950,
The uniform?
it was time to select new uniforms for 1951. Comfortable open necks
Pause
and
for a
loose
second, just pause for a
trousers and a
second.
swashbuckling Cavalier.
So the Cavaliers were named after cigarettes. Who knew? Honest to God, who knew? And the thing is, anybody who marched in the 80s, that would make perfect sense, let's be honest.
Yeah. Everybody smoked in the 80s.
I think we had a smoking section on the bus, didn't we?
No, not in our bus.
Or the percussion bus, though.
Yeah, nobody smoked on bus 7 that I'm aware of, unless they did it in the back.
Oh, no, stuff like that would have never happened in the back of the bus, Justin.
That's why I sat in the front of the bus. I
sat
never
in the back
sat.
of the- I sat in the back of the bus, and we all know that the back of the bus hates the front of the bus.
Yeah, I always sat in the front. I could not stand sitting in the back.
All the cool kids sat in the back, Justin. All the cool kids sat back there.
Really? Because I was cool and I was up. No, actually, I wasn't cool at all. I was a dweeb. That's okay. I was part of the problem in my first few years. All right, let's continue on here. And then
Cavalier style replaced sweltering Army surplus wool. The members' initial vote was for chartreuse as the dominant color. When the uniform maker explained the fading effect of the summer sun, the second choice quickly became Kelly green and the color of the Cavaliers. A turning point for the young Corps came in 1952. The Chicago Cavaliers won the Iowa State Fair contest, the Corps' very first win. Titles continued to accumulate in 53 and 54. Many predicted the Cavaliers could take a national title. With percussion their Achilles heel, Cavaliers placed a disappointing 10th at Legion Nationals in Washington, D.C. Who knew that 10th place finish would be the Corps' lowest at a national championship for the next 19 years?
Wow, it's hard to imagine the Cavaliers having percussion as their weak point.
Management brought in the legendary rudimental drummer Frank Arsenault. His work conferred instant credibility, the missing piece of the puzzle. The Corps won its first VFW state title and finished a strong 5th at American Legion Nationals in Miami. But the first order of business in 1957 was a proper Cavaliers presence as Jan and Don Warren exchanged their vows. Every girl's dream, right? Cavaliers managed to win both Legion and VFW state titles for the first time. A fiercely competitive summer seemed to be just the preparation the Corps needed to win their first VFW Nationals in Miami. It was the first time that a Midwest Corps broke the stranglehold of the East. Despite repeating as national champions in 1959, challenges faced the Cavalier organization. Show titles held for years were slipping away. American Legion and VFW sponsors were struggling to sustain the Corps financially. But the 1960 season with all its challenges, evolved successfully, with the Corps earning a 17-4 record and recapturing most of the show titles lost in 1959. Then came the legendary 1961 season.
Cavaliers, you may enter the field for competition.
Including a razor-thin victory by 25 thousandths of a point at State Fair. The Corps went into the 61 VFW Nationals in Miami undefeated, yet guarded for the looming confrontation with the East Coast powerhouses. The Cavaliers finished the year with a national championship and a 25-in-a-row win streak carrying over from the 1960 season.
Whenever we were at our shows, the boys in the Corps were outside our gym polishing our white bucks while everybody else was rehearsing. And we teased the hell out of them because they had to go rehearse and said, no matter how much you do, you're not going to beat us. We're undefeated. We were overwhelmed with everything that we were able to do.
The Corps truly earned its reputation as the Green Machine. By June of '62, the Cavaliers had not lost a contest in 23 months. But another undefeated season was not to be, and the win streak was broken at 29. The season was still a success with a 22-4 record and the Corps' fourth national title at the Minneapolis VFW Championship. 1964 saw unexpected success off the football field as Cavaliers' newly formed Winter Comp Guard won the Midwest Color Guard Circuit Championship in their very first attempt.
They always
We
had
took
great
this as
guards.
a challenge.
in
Before
winter.
that year, our Guard did not enjoy a great reputation in the activity or within the Corps itself. We were determined to change that. We proved we could achieve the highest levels of excellence, and we brought home the first Color Guard Championships to add to the Corps' legacy. It remains one of our proudest achievements as Cavaliers.
1965 was a memorable year. VFW Nats were famously held indoors at Chicago's McCormick Place after rain flooded Soldier Field. The 1966 program featured the outstanding drumline of that period, but the Corps ultimately came away with only the American Legion title. Perhaps it was the absence of Over the Rainbow from the program for the first time in 18 consecutive seasons. It was on a warm July evening in 1967 that the first Drum Corps Hall ever at 2507 North Kedzie passed into history in a Viking funeral. The hall burned to the ground with all its trophies and horns and extra uniforms. It was sad when the great hall burned down. Despite the setback, the Corps went on to yet another winning season and won both VFW and American Legion national titles. The 70s were a time of change and upheaval for the world, the country, and Drum Corps.
Well, it was 1970 when I talked to Jim Jones from the Troopers, and I thought we should start organizing the Drum Corps.
Another legend.
So we could control our own rules and start to reap some of the benefits of the profits people were making off of us at running shows, recording. You could get a recording of any corps at any show, but you never got 10 cents for it. And through that, we organized the Combine in the Midwest. And then we met with the East, and thus came DCI.
1971. Some have said it's the year Drum Corps died. Well, we know that isn't true, but while the circus show wasn't well received from the Cavaliers, it was a foreshadowing of concept shows yet to come. The DCI era began in 1972, and the Cavaliers were a charter member of the newly formed Drum Corps International, finishing ninth.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, like, people are still bitching about that crap now. It's like, The same shit. Excuse my language. The same stuff that they complained about 50 years ago, they're complaining about today. Oh, drum corps gonna die.
Just slightly change the words. It's the same tired old argument. But seriously, think about the 1971 Cavaliers. We march up and down the yard lines. We have sharp, crisp turns, and we have girls on the color guard that'll take your head off with a rifle. And the Cavaliers came out and had a bloody clown on the field. That must have just been like, people's minds must have just been melting looking at that.
And they did the same thing in the 80s, same thing in the 90s, and then the 2000s. People complained, people that complain, stop. Drum corps not dying, it's just evolving and changing.
It's changed since the dawn of time.
We can see it right there. Even before DCI was formed, it was changing. It was evolving.
And the thing is, had DCI not formed, drum corps would be dead. I will say that. Mm-hmm. Drum corps would have died 3 decades ago. Mm-hmm. Because we would have got bored to tears of seeing the same old show every year. Now, before anybody freaks out and tries to reach in through their screen and rip my 49ers hat off, by the way, the 49ers are going to beat the absolute crap out of the Eagles tomorrow night. That's all I'm going to say. There is nothing I hate worse than the Eagles than I hate Eagles fans. And I know there's at least 1 or 2 of you watching. Anyway, what was I saying? The thing is that the activity has been changing since the dawn of time. So, and it has to. Otherwise, you know what? I love watching the precision of old drum corps, a lot of people would say that when you and I marched, it was back in the olden days. And I can assure you that in the 1980s, we didn't actually live in black and white. There was actually color and stuff like that. Yeah. But I watched the shows because, so when I first moved to Sacramento from the Bay Area, I rented a room from, do you remember our cook, Ron? Do you remember Ron?
Yes.
Ran the food. So I rented a room from him, and he marched in the Freelancers in the early 70s. Mm-hmm. Like 73 through 76, something like that. So he gave me a really good education back then on drum corps of the early, the formative years of DCI. I can watch those shows and appreciate them, and I can honestly say that I could watch, say, for instance, the 72 Anaheim Kingsmen and be just as entertained by them as I was by watching last year's DCI. It's just a different kind of entertainment. I appreciate the precision there. What I don't appreciate is that every single thing is played at either forte or double forte.
Yeah.
That was your dynamic range,
Yeah.
So, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent.
No problem.
What I'm trying to say, folks, is watch it for what it is and appreciate it for what it is, not what it isn't.
Yeah. And if you want to change things, start your own drum corps.
There you go.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up here. We got like 50 seconds of
that
this video.
First championship in Whitewater, Wisconsin.
The Cavaliers.
The first generation of Cavaliers created a dynasty of domination. But the drum corps world of the 70s was moving at a meteoric pace. Creativity, dedication to the corps' value, and a fierce belief that the Cavaliers must survive. These would be the hallmarks of the next 25.
In first place, the Cavaliers!
Cool.
I do love the fact that I was on that field, not marching with the Cavaliers, but I was on the field the first time they won.
Continuing on, hope you guys enjoyed that Cavaliers thing. I really enjoyed it. I like listening to the history and seeing the history of where DCI came from, because Cavaliers really are the ones who started DCI. I mean, he was the catalyst. You could tell. He got the other
Cavaliers, Troopers, Vanguard, Kingsmen.
Yep. He got them all together and said, look, we need to start taking control of this activity because we're the main players in it.
But he was very clever about it as well. When you look at the combines that they put, they got the best of the West, the best of the Midwest, the best of the East. You know, so it wasn't a regional. The idea of DCI from the off was it was a national organization.
Yep. I mean, honestly, we owe everything to them because it would, like you said, it probably would have died
30 years ago.
Oh, I think 40 years ago would have died.
40 years ago,
it would have died in the 80s.
You and I may have never marched.
That's true. All right, so yesterday was George Zingali's birthday. What would have been his birthday. He did pass away March 6, 1992. This was posted by Vince Lamb. He actually put it in the March or Die Facebook page. So there is a Facebook page for March or Die. I will try to post there more regularly. I am very bad about that, so I'll try to make sure I do that. So Vince, thank you for posting this here, and also and
somewhere about right here is a like and subscribe button as well. So don't forget to like and subscribe, folks.
Yes, somewhere over on the screen here is going to be. You'll see it. And then
there's a bell somewhere as well.
Yeah, there is a bell. And then also back in January, he actually posted. It's not rendering. I don't know why it's not rendering, but he posted one of my videos to this blog spot. So thank you for that, Vince. But George Zingali, we all know the reputation of George Zingali. There's actually a video we're going to watch here in just a second. It's very short. It's like 4 minutes about the genius of George Zingali that DCI did. But he was really a mentor to somebody that was my mentor, and that's Carl Sarf. He marched 86 Garfield. Yeah. Carl did, and he was our drill rider from 87 on, I think, right? Was he 87, 88?
Yeah, 87, and there was a lot of, granted, we didn't maybe perform it to the level of the Garfield Cadets, but there was a lot of the Zingali influence in what we did.
Yeah, and we're going to watch one of our shows, actually, that I think was one of our cooler shows.
Justin, before you play this, I just want to, if you'd indulge me a second, I'd just like to tell my little
go ahead
story.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I mean, I marched a long time. Justin marched a long time. You know, we've rubbed shoulders and crossed paths with what a lot of people are considered the greats of the activity. You know, I never marched under George Zingali, but obviously Carl Sarf that Justin just mentioned was somebody who was very important to me, and he used to talk about George all the time. And in 91, I actually came across George Zingali in the parking lot at one of the shows. I think it was at the Drum Corps Mid-America Championships, which I believe was in Bloomington, wasn't it, that year?
Yes. Yeah, Bloomington, Indiana. Yeah.
Anyway, I saw George Zingali. And I was just out in the parking lot, and I saw George Zingali just walking right up to me, and I was like, I'm not one of these people that I've never been particularly starstruck by people, but I was very starstruck. I remember that very specifically, being very starstruck by George Zingali, and I just wanted to introduce myself and just say hello, and I just wanted to tell the guy how much I liked what he did, and I went on to do show design, as I'm sure as you did as well, Justin. And, you know, the stuff that Zingali did was something that was really, really inspiring to me as well. So I saw George, and of course, if you've ever seen George, he doesn't just sort of waltz anywhere. I mean, everywhere he's with purpose, you know. And I saw him, and I thought, you know what, I may never get a chance to do this again in my life, but God, look at him, he's so focused. But I saw him walking by, and I just said, hello, Mr. Zingali. And he stopped. He turned around, he glared at me, and I thought, oh shit, what have I done? Right? And he walked right up to me and he said, I'm going to do my best impression, but I'm really bad at impression. He says, what's your name, son? And I said, my name's CJ. He goes, CJ, nice to meet you. And he goes, and you march in the Freelancers. And I said, yeah. And he goes, I really like your show. And you know what? This guy stopped everything. I don't know what he was doing, where he was going. It could have been the most important thing in the world. But the man instantly recognized that moment and what it meant to me. and he stopped and talked to me, not about the Garfield Cadets, not about the Star of Indiana, who he was with that year, not about anything. He stopped and talked to me about our show and how much he liked what we were doing. And he wasn't just full of shit either, because, pardon my French, he wasn't just full of shit because he mentioned specific parts of our show.
Wow.
And I was just blown away. And he stopped, and he must have given me 5 to 10 minutes of his time.
Wow.
Which, if you've ever spent time in a drum corps parking lot, that's an eternity, you know? And I recognize it now for what it was, is that he recognized the moment and recognized that he could make an impact on me, you know? And I will never, ever, ever forget that moment. And when George passed away, it's, for somebody I didn't know, I remember genuinely crying when I found out that he'd passed away. So that's my George Zingali moment.
Wow, I never knew that. That's news to me. Wow, that's awesome. I wish. See, there's so many. I mean, I lived my life with a lot of regret. One of those regrets is that I did not. I was on staff with Freelancers very briefly in '94, and I had to drop out because I just couldn't do it financially because they weren't paying anything. So it's like, I wish I would have stuck with it, and then I know they folded the next year, but I wish I would have stayed on just so I could have gotten more experience. You know what I mean? But I mean, doesn't really tie into George Zingali, but I really wanted to get better at drill writing. And that was kind of my thing, because I studied with Carl every now and again. I shouldn't say study. I mean, I would write stuff and give it to him, say, hey, what do you think of this? And this is back when we had this gigantic 11 by 17 paper. It was grid paper. You had to buy it from, God, where did I buy it from? I bought it from some store. But it basically was like a grid, so I had this bendable curve, and you had to do everything manually. There was no software back then. The software didn't come into play until 1990. God, what year was that? 96?
Well,
96.
Let me expand on what you're talking about there for just a second. Do you remember in the core hall at Freelancers, the ping pong table upstairs?
Yes.
They had so for those who don't know, so we used to, back in the old days, back in the dinosaur days, we used to write drill with a pencil and a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But then what we had up in the core hall at Freelancers was that somebody had taken the bright idea of using a ping pong table and white tape or paint or whatever, and they created an American football field on a ping pong table, and then used wooden clothes pegs painted up like the Freelancers, right? And with they would put these clothes pegs onto the table on the, using the drill that we'd written to see what it actually looked like. And unlike now, where you could just press play and you watch from 10 different angles at the same time.
Yeah.
So they used to put them on the table and say, right, so if we get about here, I reckon we're about in the press box of Mile High here. So.
Yeah, and
anyway,
I remember they used to also write drill on this clear film.
Yeah.
So that you could see it in motion like that.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool. But speaking of that, so this is a good segue. I'm going to be doing a series probably after the first of the year. You guys will see it on drill writing. So it's something that I've done since I was 17 years old. I've worked with a lot of groups over the years in California, Arizona. So I really thought it might be kind of cool to really start showing those that maybe want to learn, have never done it before, like how do you do the process from beginning to end. So I'm going to be doing a series. I'm not sure how many episodes it's going to be, but I'm going to start from the very beginning, like when you get your score, from all the way to where you get your final production out. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. Just want to throw that in there. All right,
we're going to watch. For those who don't know, Justin's really old. That means he's been writing drill for a very long time.
Oh, God. I started in 1990. This is my very first show that I got paid for. All right, we are going to watch 50th Moments. This is Genius of George Zingali. if it's going to play. Let's see if it's going to play. Here we go. Z-pole.
George Zingali so loved music. You know, his writing was all about presenting the music. I'm getting goosebumps as I say that because he so loved music, and he was always about, you know, how can we make this look like it sounds?
Two decades ahead of their time.
Just the fantastic, natural, organic way that he was designing that was so different from what had come before. You know, he was really experimenting and innovating and pushing all the other designers to look at things differently.
One of the best openings, man.
Yes.
George Zingali was... I just laugh every time the dissolving company front was something that blew my mind when I first saw it.
Watch the tubas. 2 count hold coming up. Wait. That was the show that changed drum corps.
And so is this.
Excellent. Now let's build the company front.
This
Excellent.
didn't happen without
you guys,
that,
when you do that, it really looks like an organism. You're doing really good. Into the cross. Build into the cross. It's a very important statement. It's a statement about life. It's a statement about how much work you've done all year. It's a statement about your beliefs in life and God and you and who you are.
The man's remarkable, a genius, and we owe a debt of gratitude to him for pushing us in directions that we weren't comfortable with.
God damn.
And just like the cross to cross, it doesn't happen until the very last count.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Amazing human being.
All right. I'm going to switch us back. And actually, we're going to stay here because we're going to.
Before you do that, there's another video talking about. I'll send you a link to it, or I'll put it in the. I'll put it in the comments, in the comments section below. There's another video knocking about of George giving like a symposium to music educators.
Oh yeah.
And the stuff that he says just blows your mind. This drum corps wasn't his job. Drum corps was his passion. It's what he lived for. It was he genuinely. So when you watch that video, think about the story that I told before this, and you'll understand why he gave me those 5 minutes. You know, he fully understood who he was. He fully understood his impact on the activity, and he fully understood how he could impact others as well. Yeah. So I'll find that link. I'll put it in the comment section. But I would say, please listen to what I said at the beginning of this. Watch that video and then put 2 and 2 together, and you'll completely get what I'm saying.
So you can see the background's changed, everyone, but we're still talking about George Zingali, and the impact that it had on me for drill writing is monumental. I used to watch tons and tons and tons of drum corps. My favorite all-time show, 84 Cadets. It is the most gorgeous, beautiful show you will ever see in your life. It has so much emotion, so much heart, so much intensity to it. And it's mainly because of the visual. The horn playing is gorgeous too, don't get me wrong. Beautiful solos, amazing horn work. But the visual is really what tells the story. And if you've never seen 84 Cadets, you got to watch it. Garfield Cadets, 84.
And mine is 87 Garfield Cadets.
Yeah.
And I remember as well, and I know that you probably will have had this exact same moment, Justin. The first time you saw the Garfield Cadets up close, as in person, were you actually blown away when you saw the instruments that they were playing on?
So, I've told this story before. I'm going to tell the story again. We're at the metal.
So much baling wire and duct tape and different. Oh my gosh.
We're at the Meadowlands, 1989. I think it was 89. Maybe it was 90. Anyway, so we're at the Meadowlands, and we were there quite a long time before the show started. And I remember that the cadets were rehearsing. As we always were. The cadets were rehearsing, and maybe this is a memory I'm making up. I don't know, because it's been so long ago. But I remember going to see them, and I just remember seeing them rehearsing, and they were crashing into each other and falling over and just like literally almost dying. And then I remember this staff member calls out this person, so and so. What's your name? He goes, where are your parents sitting? And he goes, up there. And he goes, good, because your horn is everywhere. Get your horn in the right place. Just stuff like that. Because their drill was so insane. It was so hard.
But I'm talking about the actual instruments themselves, though.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. When you hear the 84 Garfield Cadets, and you hear the 87 Garfield Cadets, and you hear these beautiful sounds coming out of these horn lines, and then you actually saw them up close. Now, we've talked before about uniforms, how we all looked great from 30 yards away. Mm-hmm. But my God, the horns, they were they were every manufacturer. The 87, they still had some piston rotors on the field, for crying out loud.
Yeah, it was bad. but those horns could last 20, 30 years. I mean, because they were chrome.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, what is it, silver with chrome on top of it or something like that. It was just crazy, but...
Don't do it like that these days.
They don't.
Back in my day.
Back in my day. But you know what, though? We sounded great. And we're going to watch a show where we sounded great. So this is 1991 Freelancers.
You know, all that stuff I've been saying about we're not going to bore you with old Freelancer stuff, sod that. We're going to bore you with old Freelancer stuff. Get over it.
And the reason why... is because this is technically a holiday show. It's a Christmas show.
This is?
The opener and the closer. I don't remember. Dance Suite, I don't think was.
Yeah, but Hodier was.
Hodier definitely was. The Bells definitely was.
Yes.
At the very end of the show. But the reason why I wanted to watch this is because this is a show that both you and I marched in. It is by far one of our better horn lines. In the 90s. Back in the 80s.
I will die on the hill. I will die on the hill. This is the best horn line the Freelancers ever put out.
Yeah, I don't know. 84 Freelancers, they were freaking good.
They were great. They were fantastic. But I will die on the hill that this is the best horn line the Freelancers ever put out.
I really want you guys to focus on the brass in this show. Not that the guard and the drums weren't great, but I want you guys to listen for a couple things that occur at the end of some of these songs where you can hear the release and then you hear overtones ringing, which was very difficult to do, especially on a bugle. But we seem to accomplish it a couple times, I think, in the show, if I'm not mistaken. I think we got an octave and a fifth a couple times during rehearsals, but you can hear when you hear the release, you hear this this beautiful sound, and
somehow we were still 10th in brass.
We're still 10th brass, which makes no damn sense. But anyway, so let's go ahead and watch it.
"32 years later, I'm still looking for the downbeat."
Yep. Listen how good this is. Hey, listen to that. You hear that? Did you hear that? Right at the
10th place in brass.
Go baritones. Wow, listen how good the sopranos, man.
So I've watched this show a bunch of times over the years. Most underappreciated section of that brass line, though, is the contrabasses.
Yeah. Oh, remember we did the cross step here. I forgot about that. Wow. Look at the drill. Great drill.
There you go. There's those Zingali influences.
Yep. Man, what a decrescendo. Man, our drums were so good that year.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate they were playing on those Remos.
Yeah, but they played the hell out of them. Hit. Listen to that whole sound. That you can hear every voice. It's like stacked.
Armando.
Yep.
Rest in peace, brother.
With that dissonance, man.
Love the bellows. Love the bellows. I love that. The mellophones at the end there.
Dude. You could like hear the balance and the blend of all the sections so perfectly. And we were running during that stuff. And you're right, it's very George Zingali-esque. You can see like the dissolve of the forms and stuff. I never really caught that before.
I think this was the first visual show that Carl actually wrote from beginning to end.
I love this part coming up. So tasty.
The other thing about this brass book as well was how incredibly exposed it was as a book.
Ooh,
had we
contrast.
played badly, we were daring the brass judges, basically. They still placed us 10th.
We got screwed. Go, John. Was that John?
Yeah. Scott Stewart, who most people remember from the Blue Devils. Still sure there's a downbeat in there somewhere.
That's our quintet right there. Bum, bum, ba-da-dum.
I'm the skinny one at the back.
Yeah, I'm somewhere there. There's a C at the end there.
From the lead
there.
baritones.
Yeah. I think it was a C, right? High C?
It was, yeah. I remember playing this show for a guy called Dr. Foot from the Sacramento State Marching Band. I remember him kept commenting about the French horn licks. And I was able to explain to him. He says, no, that's actually the baritones up an octave.
This was a fun show. I love this show. Wow, sopranos, holy crap. Wow.
Now, to me, there was clean. To me, there was two guys on the brass staff that made this horn line better. Chris Knowles being one. Taught us how to play with balls.
Yeah.
And then the other one, which I know, Justin, you will shake your head big time out here. The absolute hero of our brass staff was the most unsung man in the world, a chap called Richie Hodge.
Yeah, Richie.
He taught us how to play with balance and clean. Wasn't the most exciting guy in the world, but man, he was a brilliant brass instructor.
God, look at the drill. Look at the drill. And it picks up with intensity when it needed to. Look at that. Just GE all over the place, man.
Bold decision to use those flags, too. Right over the top. Like, there's just no let up from that brass line.
Damn, dude.
And then as far as the ballad is concerned, I do find it crazy that we're not involved in more discussions about best ballad ever. This ballad is beautiful.
Yes, it's gorgeous. I'll tell the story after, but
hey, finally found a downbeat.
Yeah. I love this part. Ba-da-dee, ba-da-da, dee-dee-da-da-da.
Lead baritones singing over the top.
Scott was such a stud, dude.
He had such great tone.
He's what, 16 there? 17?
Yeah.
Scott, you're a stud, dude. And then Teddy, great dancer.
Follow her on Facebook. I believe her daughter's doing drum corps now.
Oh, really? I knew that she was in Color Garden. One of her daughters was drum major. Oh, I love this part. Listen. That's all lead baritone.
Scott able to get that out over the whole brass line. No mics.
Just gorgeous. And another great set right here coming up.
God, such a beautiful tone Scott has.
They're playing on a car bumper. Oh. So good. I haven't watched this show in a couple of years.
Did they actually kiss at the end of the solo? I've never found out.
I don't think so. Look at the drill. I love the drill here.
Still some elements of old school in there.
Yeah.
This was so dirty all year.
We cleaned it up, though.
It's so hard to play.
Look at that morphing drill.
Again, that's Zingali, if ever there was one. There we go again. Now watch the contras here. They're running their asses off.
This is part right here.
Love it.
I'm geeking out so bad. All right, we're geeking out. Technically not a Christmas show, like I said, but there are Christmas. Hodier was. Bells was. Everything else was with Bartok, Dance Suite.
No, Bartok was 92, wasn't it?
This is Bartok. This is Bartok.
Was Dance Suite Bartok? Yeah, it was. I suppose it was, yeah.
Great music.
The opener was, for those who don't know, the opener was Hodier by Ralph Vaughan Williams.
Cool piece. I don't want to digress too much, but I really wanted to thank all of you guys for watching. When we're recording this is December 2nd, 2023. We love drum corps. You can tell that we're proud of our show. Hopefully you guys are proud of your shows that you've marched in, because there's a lot of people on here who march drum corps, marching band, maybe thinking of marching drum corps. If you're still on the fence about whether or not you should march. You only can do it. You can only do it now. You can do it in the all-age corps, but it's different. I think when you're in the junior corps, it's just different.
It's audition season. Get out, march. If you don't make the corps that you tried out for the first time, don't let that be the end-all be-all. Find somewhere else. You'll still get a great experience. If you try out for Blue Devils and you don't make it and you go say march Colombians, you going to get a Blue Devils experience? No. You're going to get a Colombians experience, and you know what? It's probably going to be pretty decent.
And you're going to meet a lot of cool people.
You're going to meet a lot of cool people. You're going to go to a lot of cool places. You're going to make a lot of good friends, and you're going to learn and get that much better.
And one thing I brought up last year is, as we get closer to the season, there's going to be more and more open spots where you can go and take a spot that's open. Like with the Madison or Phantom, any of the other corps that have availability, it's you just got to make sure that you stay diligent about it. All right, so thank you guys for joining us. Look forward to next week's podcast, where we're going to be watching another Christmas-themed show, and it's actually going to be a real Christmas-themed show. And then we're going to culminate on the 23rd with my all-time favorite Christmas-themed show. That's just magical, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. But thank you guys so much for joining me. Once again, I'm the Stress Master.
And I am the non-malignant benign tumor.
And we thank you very much for watching the March or Die podcast. Please be sure to subscribe if you have not done so, and then set your notifications so you get notified whenever we have cool videos like the one you're watching now.
like, subscribe, ring the bell, and all.
That's right.
It's all important.
Do all that stuff, and please be sure to always march on.
And march or die.